Custom fonts are achievable with CSS3. In former years, we used to be stuck with typical fonts that both the user and the server had to have. Now, with the benefits of CSS3, we can provide a font, access it, and display it to our viewers. And the great part of this is that our viewers no longer need the font file. As far as CSS3 goes, this is a new feature that hasn't been used too often, and this is also a feature that really allows you to customize your pages in a way that you weren't able to just a few years ago. The @font face is how we create a new font family, and of course we all know how to use a font family, right? There's a class on font family in just the regular CSS section, so you can go back and review that if you need to. But as far as using the @font face, this is how we would do it. We use @font face, and that would be like our selector. We use the font family property, and we name it. Right here I have my custom family name, but that can be anything. And by anything, I mean you can name that anything you like. It could be your name, it could be your child's name, it could be your pet's name, it could be no name, being no name. And then we have our source property. And with our source, we give it a list of values. So we use the URL, we try to get myfont.ttf, and then we try to get myfont.otf, and then we try to get myfont.eot. The reason we try to get these three different fonts is because TTF and OTF are supported by Opera, Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. However, Internet Explorer does not support those. Internet Explorer will only support EOT, and that's Internet Explorer 9 and above. Now we give this a list again because CSS will try this one, and if it can't read myfont.ttf, it's going to then try myfont.otf. If it can't read myfont.otf, it's going to try myfont.eot. That's how we declare a new font using @fontFace. But this will just tell CSS that you're ready to use a new font. To actually use your font, you have to change the font family of the class, ID, element, or attribute selector of your choice. So in this paragraph is my custom font. I use the Octane spray paint. And I just found this by doing a quick Google search for some custom fonts. There are tons of websites out there. This is one of those fonts that I've had for quite a while. I'm quite a fan of it. Don't get to use it too often, but I do like the way it looks. And in here you will see the CSS that I used to create this font face and to style this paragraph. So we have our @font face, font family. I just named it my name, camel case. Source, URL, octanespraypaint.ttf, and then I have a class of font. And the font family is just my name. And then I just gave this paragraph the class of font. And the important thing is that your font family up here in your @font face matches your font family name down here. See, they're both underlined, they both have to match. Now this is just the base of the CSS. To foolproof this, we need to use, if possible, the .otf and .eot font files and list them in the source property. Obviously, we separate them with a comma like we do with the font family. And speaking of font family, we should also specify other font families to choose from. In the event that an older browser is trying to read this page and it can't read this type of font, we're going to want to give it a backup font. So here we would just type URL octanespraypaint.otf. In the event that one of our browsers doesn't support TTF, we'd also do this with EOT for Internet Explorer. Then with our font class, our font family property, we wouldn't just give it my name. We would also give it, Times New Roman and, and another font name. So for some reason, if the browser cannot use the @font face at all, or it cannot read any of the fonts, then it's going to skip this one, and it's going to try our Times New Roman. If you can't read that, it's going to skip it. It's going to try another font name. So just remember, when you're using a custom font, always supply it with backups. That's because when you're using a custom font, you want everyone in the world to see that you're using a custom font, not just a couple of people on a certain browser or only newer browsers. There are a lot of people in the world that use older browsers as well. And yes, although they should update their browsers, a lot of people don't. And that's why it's good to create a font family list or a source list.